Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the All-Beneficent, the All-Merciful. Nuqoosh Ismat, His Eminence, the Master of the Age, peace be upon him and may Allah hasten his reappearance. Communications during Major Occultation. Without any doubt, occultation of Imam Asr is of two types. Minor occultation, which started in 260 years after Hijrah and ended in 329th year after Hijrah, during which various deputies functioned as mediums between community and the Imam. Through them, messages and questions were exchanged and replies received. Uthman bin Sa'id Amri, Muhammad bin Uthman bin Sa'id Amri, Hussein bin Rauna Bakhti, and Ali ibn Muhammad Saimuri. These were those trusted persons whom Imam Zaman honored with his special representation, and through them only functions of guidance and leadership were fulfilled. Reference Muntahil Amal, Volume 2, Chapter 14. After that, the period of major occultation began, and the series of special deputies stopped, and system of common representatives started, and a general announcement was made that during major occultation, persons having particular attributes will be points of reference for Muslims, and only through them would the task of guidance be fulfilled. Protection of community in Islam will be their responsibility, and protecting them and guiding them will be Imam's responsibility. Thus, the system of open deputation and representation ended, but the work of guidance and security went on. There were numerous instances when Imam fulfilled his duty of guidance and protection of his common deputies, and whenever they committed an error or were in danger and Islam was threatened, Imam fulfilled the duty of guarding them. It is a different thing that death is inevitable and nobody is to live forever. So at times sacrifice for truth was more beneficial for Islam. In such instances, protection and guidance is not required, but other than this, in normal condition, Imam is always concerned and he is fulfilling the function of security. The basic difference between minor and major occultation is that during minor occultation, identity of representatives was decided, and in major occultation, their qualities are determined. Maybe the reason for adopting this way was that if qualities were determined in the beginning, every person would pose with those qualities and mobilize devotees around himself, claiming representation of Imam. That is why Imam determined personalities rather than attributes so that people would observe them and study their conditions and decide for themselves what qualities and excellence they possess. After that, they may decide what type of persons are needed for representing Imam and what learned persons and owners of magnificence and courage are required, whom Imam entrusts representation. For whenever attributes will be mentioned, any Tom, Dick, and Harry won't come into the picture, but his character would be compared with those deputies and then decided whether he is entitled to Imam's representation or not. Among evidence of Imam's protection are included letters received from him during major occultation, in which, after mentioning safety of community and guidance of responsible people of community, he has assured the Muslim community that although he is in occultation, he has not gone away from the world. Occultation implies not seeing from your side and not from me. I am invisible to you and you cannot see me, but you are not away from my view. I am continuously looking at you and observing your conditions and situations. You would be in danger if I become careless of your conditions, and Imam too will be endangered, as an Imam cannot be neglectful of his community. Even after his exit from seen world, he keeps an eye on conditions of the community, and on the day of judgment also, I will be witness of their acts. We are present and alive, and only the curtain of vision is there between you and me, as I neither live in any other country nor some other world. I am amongst you, a sharer of your troubles and distress, and I see your pains and sorrow. And I am also there with you in Hajj, and I am there with you shoulder to shoulder in ziyarat of our ancestors. Also, sometimes I lead some in reciting ziyarat. It is a different thing that on the basis of effect of occultation they cannot sense my prayers and presence. And when on recitation of ziyarat of Imam Zaman, I reply to their salutations, they are jolted, but its true effect is felt only after I am gone. There is no defect in my supervision and care, and I supervise every moment of yours, the proof of which are those letters I have written to my devoted servants of religion, also mentioning facts in them. Below is the translation of two letters which Imam Zaman wrote to Sheikh Mufid alayhi rahmah, which shows the greatness of Sheikh and Imam's love and regard. In one letter he states, "This letter is for the worthy brother and righteous friend, Sheikh Mufid Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Muhammad Noman. May Allah always maintain his honor. It is from the position achieved due to the covenant taken from the people. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. So to say, peace be on you, O friend who is sincere in the religion of Allah and is successful in certainty in us. We are thankful for our existence to Allah, except whom there is no God, and we ask Allah for blessings and mercy upon our Prophet Muhammad and the progeny of Muhammad, and may He always give you divine opportunity to help truth and increase your rewards for speaking up in our favor. We announce that we have been permitted to honor you with our letter and entrust you with the responsibility of our friends who are present around you. May Almighty Allah befriend them due to His obedience, and may He suffice them in their important matters. May Almighty Allah help you against pledge breakers who have gone out of the religion of God. Then consider what I am explaining to you and convey it to those whom you trust. If Allah wills, if we are in such a position that we are away from habitations of oppressors, and it is due to hidden wisdom that Almighty Allah considered best for us and the believer followers of us, till material wealth is in control of transgressors. In spite of all this, we are perfectly cognizant of all your affairs and problems, and nothing regarding you is concealed from us. We have received information about the disgrace and humility suffered by you all due to most of you acting in opposition to the ways of your predecessors, regarding which you may not have received any information, and that if we are concerned about you and we do not forget you, and if this attention and favor had not been there, calamities would have befallen you and your enemies would have destroyed you. Therefore fear Almighty Allah and help us to save you from this mischief. Anyone whose death is near shall be killed in this mischief, and one who has obtained his desire shall remain safe in this mischief, is a sign of distance and proximity of our commands and prohibitions. Although Almighty Allah would perfect His light, even if it is detestable to disbelievers, remain attached to dissimulation and keep away from stoking the fire of ignorance that the bigotry of Bani Umayyah has created. You should gain lessons from the incidents that would occur this year in Jamad al-Awwal, and you should wake up from sleep of carelessness on witnessing that which occurs immediately after that. A clear sign would be visible to you in the sky, and a similar sign from the earth. In the eastern lands, there would be disappointing events, and an atheist power would gain control on Iraq. Due to their evil deeds, the livelihood of Iraqis would reduce. After that, calamities would be dispelled and the evil ones and polytheists would be destroyed. Their destruction would cause happiness among righteous, and people from all corners of the world would come for Hajj. Each of you should do that which we like and keep away from that which we dislike, because our kingdom shall appear all of a sudden, and at that time repentance would not be accepted from anyone. No one would be able to escape punishment. Almighty Allah has guided you through divine inspiration and given you tawfiq of guidance through His mercy. Reference Ehtijaji Tabrasi, Volume 2, page 596, Biharul Anwar, Volume 12, Chapter 31, page 764. This letter was received 3 years before the death of Sheikh Mufid alayhi rahmah in the month of Safar, 410th year after Hijrah, and the second letter also is nearly on the same subject. From these letters, one can clearly sense perpetual freshness, and each sentence of it holds eternal status. Believers should make special note of the following points in these letters and always pray for good tawfiq. First, Imam Asr, may Allah hasten his reappearance, has ranked those who struggle in the path of truth and serve the religion of Islam as worthy brothers. Second, Imam is always in contact with his followers but does nothing without the permission of God. He even writes a letter only when Allah commands him to. Third, Imam lives far away from the area of oppressors and is also near to believers, as both are protected and task of religion is also fulfilled. Fourth, all troubles of community are due to their impiety and irreligious persons who left the path of righteousness and neglected divine covenant. Fifth, Imam is never oblivious of caring for community, and its living proof is existence of community. Otherwise, oppressors would have eliminated it. Sixth, dissimulation is best. Neglecting it is to invite destruction, but along with it, service to Islam should also go on. Seventh, impiety of rulers of Iraq would cause lack of sustenance, which is seen even today, that people are starving because of oppressors. Eighth, Iraqi tyrants would be destroyed and believers and God-fearing persons would be elated if Allah wills. Ninth, the troubles of Hajj will be over and a period of ease would arrive. Hajj would be performed under the supervision of Imam, if Allah wills. 10th, it is duty of believers to perform acts which bring them nearer to Imam and to avoid displeasing him. Inaction, irreligiousness, insulting laws of Islam, lying, making allegations, disunity, selling of conscience, thanklessness, underestimating duties, inviting to prohibitions are acts which displease Imam Zaman and which will be accounted for very strictly after reappearance. May Allah give us all tawfiq to become proximate to Imam and to keep him satisfied. Those who met the 12th Imam. They are of two types. First, those who met Imam during minor occultation. Second, those who met Imam during the major occultation. The list of visitors of major occultation continues by grace of Allah, hence it is impossible to number them until visitations and meetings go on. Their number would go on increasing, as Muhaddis Noori Rahmatullah Alayh has narrated 100 such incidents and Sheikh Abbas Qummi Rahmatullah Alayh has narrated only 1/4. Other scholars and writers have narrated other incidents and this continues till today. Therefore, here we quote only those incidents in which, in addition to meeting, an aspect of general benefits is also found. Following is list of some visitors of minor occultation. First Deputy Uthman bin Saeed Amri. Second Deputy Muhammad bin Uthman bin Saeed Amri. Third Deputy Hussein bin Rana Bakhti. Fourth Deputy Ali ibn Muhammad Saimuri. Fifth General Ambassador Hajiz Hilal and Attar Baghdadi. Sixth Asim Kufi. Seventh Muhammad ibn Ibrahim ibn Mehziyar Ahwazi. Eighth Muhammad ibn Saleh Hamadani. Ninth Basami and Asadi Razi. 10th Qum bin Alai Azerbaijani. 11th Muhammad bin Shahzan Nishapuri. 12th Ahmad ibn Ishaq Qummi. 13th Abul Adiyan before occultation. 14th Abul Qasim ibn Ra'is. 15th Abu Abdullah ibn Farooq. 16th Masroor Tabbakh. 17th Ahmad and Muhammad ibn Hassan. 18th Ishaq Katib Naubakhti. 19th Sahibul Gharra. 20 Sahibul Surratil Makhtuma. 21st Abul Qasim ibn Abi Jalis. 22nd Abu Abdullah Kindi. 23rd Abu Abdullah Junaidi. 24th Muhammad ibn Kashmar and Ja'far ibn Hamadan Dinwari. 25th Hassan bin Harawane and Ahmad ibn Harawane Isfahani. 26th Zaidan Qummi. 27th Hassan bin Nasr, Muhammad bin Muhammad, Ali bin Muhammad bin Ishaq and Hassan bin Yaqub Azadi. 28th Qasim ibn Musa, Ibn Qasam bin Musa, Ibn Muhammad bin Harun and Ali bin Muhammad Kulaini. 29th Abu Ja'far Riqa, Qazwin. 30th Ali ibn Ahmad, Fars. 31st Ibn al-Jammal, Quds. 32nd Majruh, Marv. 33rd Sahib Alf-Dinar, Nishapur. 34th Muhammad ibn Shoaib ibn Saleh, Yemen. 35th Fazl bin Zaid, Hassan bin Fazl, Ja'fari ibn al-Ajami in Misr. 36th Sahibul Mawludain and Sahibul Mal at Nasibain. 37. Abu Muhammad ibn Mujana in Ahwaz. Reference Gayatul Maqsood, Volume 1, page 121, serial number 5 to 37. 38. Hasini. Other than these, we don't know how many fortunate persons were there whose account was not included in books, but under other topics, like Lady Hakima, who was the first visitor of Imam Zaman, but her mention is not under list of visitors, but under services of assisting in birth, or other people before whom Imam Hassan Askari, peace be upon him, himself presented Imam Zaman, and who witnessed the blessed countenance of the Imam before start of minor occultation. I hinted at their names because the real aim is not to prepare a list of visitors of Imam during occultation, but to mention those who visited Imam Qaim and after whose testimony it is only fallacy and obstinacy to deny the birth and existence of Imam Yasir. Some visitors of major occultation as described by Sheikh Abbas Qummi are as follows in Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 668. First, Ismail Harqali, whose illness was incurable, and he visited Sayyid ibn Taus, and after this contacted Imam Yasir. And when Imam passed his hands, the disease went away, even traces were not to be found, and in place of a sore, a clear skin appeared on his legs. Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 369. Second, Sayyid Muhammad Jabal Amili, whom the regime wanted to induct in army by force. He fled from Lebanon after roaming for 5 years, arrived in Najaf-e-Ashraf. Upset by circumstances, he prayed much for increase in sustenance, but when no result came, made a program to send an ariza. Every day he went out of Najaf and put ariza in the river. After 39 days, he met a person on the way dressed as an Iraqi and having a Lebanese accent. He asked, "Why are you sending ariza since 39 days? Is the Imam unaware of your plight?" Sayyid Muhammad was amazed and wanted to shake hands with him. While shaking hands, the subtlety of the hands made him feel that he is Imam Yasr, because he had heard such report about his blessed hands. When he wanted to kiss his hands, he vanished. Please note, this does not mean that ariza proved futile, but the fact is that due to ariza, he was honored with a meeting. Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 373. Third, Sayyid Atwa Hassani, author of Kashful Ghumma, has narrated from his son, "My father belonged to the Zaidi sect and has disliked us due to our Imamiya religion. One day, in his intense illness, he said, 'Until your master does not cure my illness, I won't change my faith.' After a part of the night had passed, he was heard shouting, 'Run! Meet your master!' All of us ran out, but no one could see anyone. We only heard from our father that a gentleman had arrived and passed his hand, and the pain vanished. After that, we saw his confidence and that he did not have any discomfort." Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 376. Fourth, Allama Majlisi has quoted in Minhajus Salah from Ibn Taus that Sayyid Raziuddin Muhammad ibn Muhammad Awi was arrested by the regime. Becoming fed up with it, he appealed to Imam Zaman, and Imam ordered him to recite Dua-e-Ibrat. He said, "I do not know this dua." Imam said, "It is in Misbah." He said, "I have not seen it." Again he said, "It is in there." When he awoke, he saw a paper in the book. He recited it immediately, and ruler's wife saw in dream that Amirul Mu'mineen Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was saying, "If my descendant is not released, your husband would be destroyed." She awoke and told her husband of the dream, and he was freed immediately. Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 376. Fifth, Mir Ishaq Astarabadi. Allama Majlisi has narrated that he said, "On way to Makkah, I was separated from my caravan and was very upset. I appealed to Imam Yasir, who arrived and ordered me to recite Hirze Yamani. I was thirsty. He gave me water and corrected my recitation and carried me with him. We reached Makkah 9 days before the caravan. My family publicized that I possessed miracles and that I came to Makkah through folding of the earth." Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 378. Biharul Anwar, Volume 12, Chapter 24, page 52. Sixth, Sayyid ibn Taus has narrated in Farajul Humum on the authority of Abu Ja'far Muhammad ibn Harun ibn Musa Talakbari from Abul Hasan ibn Abul Baghl that he said, I had some pending matter with Abu Mansur ibn Abu Samhan, in which a dispute developed, and due to fear I went underground. One day I went to the tomb of Imam Musa Kazim and requested Abu Ja'far to close the doors as I wanted to appeal to Imam in private. He closed the doors and I was busy with prayer, dua, ziyarat and munajat. Suddenly I saw a youth who saluted all Imams in ziyarat except Imam Zaman. I was surprised and wondered as to which religion did he belong. I wanted to ask something when he said recite Dua Faraj and then taught me the dua Ya man abhar al jameel wa satar al qabih, in the end of which is Ya Muhammadu Ya Ali ikfiyani fa innakuma kafiyan wansurani fa innakuma nasiran. After concluding I searched for him, but he was not there. I asked Abu Jafar and he said the doors were closed. It was Imam Zaman who came to your rescue. Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 379 and Biharul Anwar. Note, there are various supplications called Dua Faraj, of which this dua is also one. Supplicating beginning with Ya Imad Amalla Imad Lahu is also called Dua Faraj. 7th, Abu Rajah Hammami. Allama Majlisi narrated his incident as follows. He owned a public bath in Hilla. There was a ruler in Hilla called Marjan the Younger. Some people reported to him that Abu Rajah abuses companions of Prophet. So he got Abu Rajah arrested and ordered him to be beaten. They beat him so severely that each part of his body was injured, and they hit at his mouth so much that his teeth were broken. Then they pierced his tongue with a thick iron needle. Then they pierced his nose and put a rope through it. After that he was given over to the ruler's men to take him around the lanes of Hilla in this manner, and ordered that he should be thrashed from every side. It happened in this way, and the poor man fell down exhausted. People thought he was dead. They informed the king, and he ordered his execution. Those present in the court wanted to know what purpose would be served by his execution. Since he was an old man, this much punishment was enough for him. He was already dead, so he should be left now and he would die in his natural death. Why should the king take the responsibility of his death? When people petitioned much, he ordered his release. Since he was seriously injured, his relatives carried him home like a corpse. Everyone was sure that he would not survive that night, as no sign of life remained in his body. However, when people came to see him the next day, they found him in perfect health and physically fit, engrossed in ritual prayers. His teeth that had broken were back in his mouth in a perfect condition. The wounds of his body and face had healed so completely as if he never had any injuries in the first place. They were shocked at this and asked him how that came to be. He replied, I was looking at death with my own eyes. Since my tongue could not move, I was unable to utter any supplication. So I prayed to Allah in my mind and beseeched my master. When the greater part of night had passed, I saw that the complete house was lit by luminosity, and my master, His Eminence, the Master of Time, was stroking my face and saying, Now get up and go to your family. You are perfectly all right now. Thus, when I got up in the morning, I was absolutely healthy, as you all can see. Shamsuddin Muhammad bin Qarun says, By Allah, Abu Rajah was a frail and thin man, having a sallow complexion. He was very ugly and had a small beard. I used to visit the same public bath he frequented, and I always saw him in the above condition. But that morning, when I went to see him with other people, I saw him physically strong, his limbs were powerful, and his height had also increased. The beard was also bigger than before, and the complexion had a pinkish hue. It seemed as if he were a young man of 20 years, and he remained like that till his end. When the news of his miraculous recovery spread, the governor of Hellas summoned him, who one day before had seen him in a very serious condition, but now he was perfectly cured and there was no sign of any injury, and his teeth were also intact. The ruler was highly impressed by this and filled with awe. Previously, when he sat at the place of Imam Zaman in Hilla, he used to turn his back to it, but after this incident, He began to sit facing it and also changed his behavior with people of Hilla. He used to forgive their mistakes and acted nicely with everyone in general. But all this was of no use to him and he died after some days. Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 374. Sultan al-Mufarraj an Ahl al-Ilman, Sayyid Ali ibn Abdul Hamid Teli, Najafi. 8th. Allama Majlisi says in Bihar al-Anwar, I heard from some reliable scholars that during British rule in Bahrain, they appointed a Sunni Muslim as governor despite the fact that majority population was Shia. There were also a particular Sunni minister who was an enemy of Shia. One day he brought a pomegranate to the governor. On the pomegranate, the names of Abu Bakr, Omar, Osman, and Imam Ali, peace be upon him, were found together with the inscription that these were the four rightful caliphs of Muslims. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, Abu Bakr wa Omar wa Osman wa Ali Khulafa'illah. The minister claimed that this was a natural miracle and a sign from Allah that Shia belief was incorrect. He urged that now the Shia should not be regarded as Muslims and be asked to become true Sunni or be killed or made to pay the taxes of non-Muslims. The governor was delighted at this occurrence and summoned Shia scholars and put three alternatives to them. The Shia were amazed when they saw the fruit and asked for 3 days to return with their reply. This time was granted to them and they went away wondering what to do. Finally, they decided to seek help from the holy Imam. 3 pious scholars were selected and each one was to go out of the city into the wilderness and pray for assistance of holy Imam. On first 2 nights, the first 2 scholars spent the whole night in prayers and supplications but with no success. On third night, the third scholar saw an impressive personality approach him at dawn. The man asked him what the problem was. He replied that he was truly his Imam, he would surely know the problem. The holy Imam then replied that he was aware of the difficulty and not to worry. He told the scholar to go with the governor to the minister's house the next day and insist on going to the terrace. There he would find 2 molds with false inscriptions. They are fitted to the growing fruit so that it becomes larger. The words become engraved on it. He further told him to ask the minister to break open the fruit and witness the power of Allah. The next morning matters proceeded as the holy Imam had ordered. When the minister was told to take everybody to the terrace, he went pale and began to make excuses. At the governor's insistence, he reluctantly led them to the place where they found the articles as described by the holy Imam. Eventually, the governor asked the minister to break open the fruit. When he did so, black dust flew from it and smeared his eyes and beard. And when the truth came out, he asked, How did you come to know? Isa replied, My master, who is the 12th Imam, told me. When truth and falsehood was clear, he at once declared his acceptance of Shia religion at the hands of Muhammad ibn Isa. Reference Kashful Ghumma, page 133, Kitab Baida al Akhbar, page 150, Mulla Ismail Sabzawari, Safinatul Bihar, volume 1, page 536, Najaf Ashraf, Ahsan al Maqal, volume 2, page 387. 9th. Aqa Mirza Abdullah Isfahani relates in Riyazul Ulama that Abul Qasim Muhammad ibn Abul Qasim Hasmi was an intelligent Shia man and a Rafiyuddin Hussain was a prejudiced Sunni. The two were good friends and used to argue with each other. Abul Qasim called Rafiuddin Nasibi prejudiced and Rafiuddin called him a Rafidi heretic. One day they were sitting in Atiq Mosque in Hamadan and arguing who was superior, Imam Ali, peace be upon him, or Abu Bakr. Abul Qasim proved from various verses and traditions. Rafiuddin narrated the incident of cave and Abu Bakr's relationship with the Holy Prophet. Abul Qasim prolonged his reasoning and said, Who can compete with Ali? Ali was the standard bearer of Holy Prophet, husband of his daughter, ornament of his bed on the night of Hijrat, destroyer of idols of Kaaba and a manifestation of excellence of all prophets, and nobody had as much honor. At last Rafiuddin said, We will ask the first person who enters the mosque, his would be the last word. Abul Qasim accepted it. After a while a youth entered and Rafiuddin presented his case. The youth recited a couplet and the matter was thus. People ask me of superiority of Ali, and I feel the description of superiority itself is an insult to Ali. Is it not an insult for a sword to say that it is sharper than a stick? Rafiuddin was bewildered, and as per his statement was compelled to accept the religion of Al Muhammad. Reference Ihsan al-Maqal, Volume 2, Chapter 14, Part 5, page 390. 10th. Aka Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi Hindi has narrated an incident on the authority of Sheikh Baqir ibn Sheikh Hadi Rahmatullah alayh, the second caretaker of Najaf Ashraf, that a person worked in a public bath at Najaf Ashraf. He was a firm believer and very pious. He served his old father with dedication, and even lifting him, making him sit, and feeding him was his responsibility. He only went for prayers and ziyarat of Imam Zaman every Wednesday eve. On one such occasion he was delayed and was returning alone, when suddenly he saw an Arab. He feared that very soon even his clothes would be looted. The Arab asked, "Where are you going?" He replied, "Masjid as-Sahla." Then he asked, "What is there in your pocket?" He replied, "Nothing." He said, "Take out immediately what you have." He again denied. Now the Arab scolded him, and he put his hands in his pocket and remembered that he had purchased some raisins for his children, and they were still in his pockets. He offered them to him. He said, "Go back and serve your father. Visiting Masjid as-Sahla is not more important than serving the father." As a matter of fact, this believer got this honor because of serving his father, that he was able to meet Imam Zaman, and the aim for which he used to visit the place was fulfilled. That is why Imam said, "Now go and serve your father," as no other task was left. And if going to Masjid al-Sahla was not appropriate, Imam would have restrained him from the first. Anyway, service to parents is very important, so much so that it is mentioned in narrations that if parents stop you from taking part in jihad and they are fearful of it, then serving them for an hour is better than a year's jihad in the way of Allah. It is narrated from Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, peace be upon him, from Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his pure progeny, by which it is possible to conclude the nature of faith in Islam, and also know that during major occultation there is possibility of one more jihad, that is serving parents. May the merciful Lord bestow every believer with tawfiq for this jihad. Letters and communications. Like scholars have mentioned about persons honored with meeting Imam Yasr, they also have mentioned letters and communications issued by Imam Yasr during occultation, which are called tawqiyat. These communications contain many topics, laws, supplications, and ziyarats. There are a number of special letters as well, which were sent under different reasons and pretexts. Among personal letters are 3 letters written to Sheikh Mufid, may Allah bless his soul. In one he is mentioned by the title of Just Brother and Righteous Friend. In the second he is called Helper of Truth and Motive of Word of Truth. The first letter is dated Safar 410th year after Hijrah, and the second 23rd Zilhaj 412th year after Hijrah. After that, on his death, Imam also recited some couplets which are engraved on the grave of Sheikh Mufid, may Allah bless his soul. Reference Ihtijaj Tabrasi, Volume 2, page 596. The gist of the third letter is that a question was asked regarding a pregnant woman who died. They asked who is to be done about the unborn child. He replied she would be buried along with the child. People were preparing for a burial when a rider came and informed that the child be taken out and the woman buried. The child was taken out, and when later the Sheikh came to know about it, he decided not to issue any decree in future, that if that rider had not corrected the mistake, he would have been responsible for the death of an innocent child. After taking this decision, he was at home when a message arrived from Imam that this decision was completely wrong. It is your duty to issue verdicts and our job to verify them. From this event, in addition to the unseen help of Imam Zaman, we also realize how much love he has for his followers and how he does not want them to be helpless at all. The Imam's purpose is also that in every period there should be scholars to solve problems, and after that, if they commit a mistake which is related to rites of worship and innocent bloodshed, he will check them. Otherwise, mistakes in matters of rights of Allah are pardoned by Allah Himself, and He is the most merciful of merciful ones. If he can pardon sins of a common man, why he cannot pardon mistakes of a scholar who is giving sacrifices in his way and enduring pains in that path? Regarding religious problems, Allama Tabarsi has mentioned a letter addressed to Ishaq ibn Yaqub, in which various replies were found, gist of which is that if the question pertains to a deniers, then our denier is not one of us. And if the question is about people like Ja'far, his example is like that the son of Prophet Noah and brothers of Yusuf, peace be upon them. Reference Ihtijaj Tabrisi, Volume 2, page 542. From this, some have concluded that son of Noah was worthless as per commandments of his father and was not on his path. But when brothers of Yusuf committed treachery with him, he pardoned them in the end, and in this manner the oppressors turned repentant. As for fuqa, a drink prepared from barley extract, it is unlawful to drink it. And as for shilmab, a non-toxicant, and its use in present age is common. It is not doubtful. And as for your property, till you do not purify it, do not use it. Then anyone who wants to send it to me, and anyone who does not want to be separated from it, then what Allah has bestowed to us is better than what Allah has given you. As for reappearance and advent, it solely depends on will of Allah, and those who fix a time for it are liars. As for saying of those who think that Imam al-Hussein has not been slain is a kind of disbelief, denial, deviation and misguidance. But as for the problems which will occur in the future, you should refer to narrators of our traditions for their verdicts, as they are my proofs to you, and I am Allah's proofs to them. As for Muhammad bin Usman Amri, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, he is trustworthy and reliable one of mine, and his writing is my writing. As for Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Mahziyar Ahwazi, then very soon Allah would reform his heart and remove his doubt. As for the money that you sent me, it is not acceptable to me, except that money which is pure, and the compensation for a singing girl is unlawful. As for Muhammad ibn Shahzan ibn Naeem, he is a Shia of us, Ahlul Bayt. As for Abul Khattab, Muhammad ibn Ali Zainab Ajda, then he and all his associates are accursed, and you don't cultivate the company of those who harbor their beliefs, and my forefathers and I are aloof from them. As for those who are in possession of our funds in a way that they consider it lawful for themselves and spend it, they have in fact devoured hellfire. As for Khums, it is lawful for our Shias till reappearance, so far as their children are pure and not involved in sinful activities. As for the funds sent to us, and after which they fell into doubts and became regretful of having paid to us, then anyone who wants, we would return to him, and we are not needful of the money of those who harbor doubt with regard to Allah. As for the occultation's cause, Almighty Allah has said, O you who believe, do not put questions about things which if declared to you may trouble you. The Holy Quran, Surah Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 101. Each of my forefathers in his time was compelled by oath of allegiance to tyrant ruler, and when I reappear I would not be having allegiance of any tyrant on my neck. As for how people would benefit from me during occultation, it is like getting benefits from sun concealed by clouds. And I am the security of people on the earth, just as stars are security for inhabitants of heavens. Therefore do not ask what you are not in need of, and do not put yourself into undue trouble, and pray more for an early reappearance, as in it lies your success, and peace be on those who follow guidance. Reference Ilm al-Wara, page 258, Kashf al-Ghumma, page 140, Majalis al-Mu'mineen, page 190, Ihtijaj Tabrisi, volume 2, page 543, Ghaibat Sheikh Tusi, page 176.